Welcome back to Book Break. Today we are actually going cross-platform. We are talking about BookTok, the bookish side of TikTok. So the books that are popular on BookTube versus BookTok are actually quite different, and I have seen a lot of booktubers make videos where they read really popular BookTok books. So for example, I will link below to Jack Edwards did a video like that, Monica Kim did one, there are loads out there. But if you're wondering what are the books that are so popular on BookTok, this is going to be a semi-comprehensive list. Obviously there are so many more, so this will just get you started and then you can dive in and explore BookTok for yourself. So there's a real mix when it comes to the popular BookTok books of some recent and some much older books. So you will find some that were maybe really popular on BookTube a few years ago and are now having a major resurgence because BookTok has discovered them, or you get some books that are much older and kind of predated the existence of these social media book communities and are now kind of debuting on social media, even if they were really popular in their time many years before. And BookTok is having such a huge effect on the book industry. Barnes & Noble, the US store, even has a whole section on their website dedicated to popular BookTok books. It is just massive. It seems to be bigger than any bookish social media community that came before. Obviously, we love BookTube, we love Bookstagram, but BookTok is here to stay. So I've noticed a few themes in the kind of books that get really popular on BookTok, and the number one theme is emotional books, because these videos where people are recommending them are maximum 1 minute long. So essentially you're watching a video of someone having a strong, quick, emotional reaction to a book, and it gives you that feeling of like, I want to feel that way. So really emotional books is a major theme among popular BookTok books. I mean, on that note, I've literally seen articles with headlines like how crying on TikTok sells books. So this is a huge, huge theme. But you will also notice things like books that can be overanalyzed, because then people will post their fan theories on BookTok. Books that have a really strong aesthetic that the video creator can then reenact. Queer books. Again, all of these themes do fit with books that can elicit a really strong emotional reaction, and you watch the TikTok and you think, I want to feel that way, I need that book. So let's get into some of the actual books that are currently huge on TikTok. So starting with some of the books that are so popular because they're guaranteed to make you cry. Of course, top of that list is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, and this also has been making the BookTube rounds recently for the same reason. There's been a huge trend of people making reading vlogs of them crying uncontrollably while reading A Little Life. The book is about a group of friends. At its centre is Jude, our main character, who is a man who has suffered extreme trauma in his past that he has never really been able to break away from. And it is kind of just one terrible thing happens to him after another, but the book itself is actually full of love in all its forms. It's about this group of friends. It's about Jude and his romantic relationship. It's about the man who adopts him and becomes his father. It's a really beautiful book. I have never cried so hard. Another book that you'll see everywhere on BookTok is Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So this is a retelling of the Iliad. It's about the love story between Achilles and Patroclus and how the Trojan War and Achilles' legacy within it tore them apart. It is heartbreaking stuff. And this one's interesting because this is one of the slightly older books that has seen a massive resurgence in sales ever since it got so popular on TikTok. TikTok is loving the book They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Adam Silvera's books often make me cry, and this one, you go into it knowing it can't end happily because, as the title suggests, they both die at the end. It's literally about this app that alerts you on the day you're going to die so that you can then choose to spend your last day on Earth how you want. And it's about two teenage boys who meet on the day that they both have discovered they are fated to die. All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven is a book from 2015 that's been making the rounds on TikTok. It's about a love story between two teenagers, one of whom has severe depression. I read this one at the time and absolutely wept at it, and there is a movie adaptation as well, which I haven't seen. And then a more recent book that just went straight to the height of TikTok fame is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This one's about an orphanage on an island where children with magical abilities who are considered dangerous are sent to keep them hidden away. And it is a really heartwarming book. This is one that's making people cry happy tears, but it is also rather melancholy and bittersweet. So another huge trend on TikTok is books that you read for the aesthetic. And you get creators like A Life of Literature, for example, who make videos convincing you to read books based on their aesthetic. They will show you lots of little clips, little pictures, giving you an idea of what the feeling of that book is. So a very popular book aesthetic that you will have heard lots of people talking about on TikTok is dark academia, and a really popular book that fits that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This one's about a girl called Alex who is the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved murder, and at her hospital bed she is approached and told that she can go to Yale University, one of the world's most elite universities, completely paid for. The only catch is that while she's there, she has to monitor the activities of the secret societies at Yale, and they turn out to be way more sinister than she ever imagined. Wilder Girls by Rory Power is popular for its sort of feral forest aesthetic. So this one is a dystopian horror story about a boarding school on an island where girls are being quarantined after a mysterious illness called the tox had spread through the school, killing off many of the staff and transforming the girls' bodies in strange new ways. And then We Were Liars by E. Lockhart is another slightly older book that has just become massive recently on TikTok, and this one has a kind of preppy, dreamy ocean aesthetic. It's about a girl from a very rich, privileged family who spends their summers every year on this private island. 2 years ago, something traumatic happened to our main character that she is too traumatized to even remember, and it's about uncovering what actually happened that summer. There is a major twist at the end, which is absolutely blowing TikTok's mind at the moment, TikTok's collective mind. And that of course leads really nicely to the next trend I've seen on TikTok, which is reading books for the fan theories. I'm actually going to get the next one from upstairs. I have it on my shelf and it's one that you need to see to understand. Okay, this is the book S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst, and it is incredible. So it's designed to look like an old library book called The Ship of Theseus, and inside it you'll see it is annotated seemingly with all these handwritten notes. You'll also find little things that come out of the book, little maps, napkins with plans written on them. What's this, a newspaper article? It's incredible. And this book actually never really became huge on BookTube, but TikTok have discovered it, and it's the perfect platform for everyone to discuss their many theories about how to read this book, how to interpret this book. It's a lot of fun. TikTok is also a huge fan of books with queer relationships where nobody dies. We actually have a whole book break video on that theme, which I will link to below. But a new book that's really popular on TikTok at the moment is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. So this is about a 28-year-old woman called Grace who goes on a girls' trip to Vegas to celebrate completing her PhD and ends up getting drunkenly married to a woman whose name she doesn't even know. And it's actually a very relatable book, despite the fact that most of us haven't done specifically that. It's really all about the messiness of adulthood and figuring out what you're running from and what you want to be running towards. Then there's Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. That's another really popular one. This is about the US first son, Alex Claremont Diaz, and the British Prince Henry. So these two are lifelong enemies, and it's really starting to threaten British-American relations. So the two of them have to stage a fake friendship, which soon turns into something more. And that leads me perfectly onto the next big trend on TikTok, which is enemies to lovers relationships. You will find on TikTok a lot of Leigh Bardugo's books going around. So if you've been watching the Netflix show Shadow and Bone, that's sort of a combination of a few Leigh Bardugo books that are set in the same universe, the Grishaverse. So the Grishaverse started with the Shadow and Bone trilogy, then came the Six of Crows duology, then there was the King of Scars duology, and there's also several extra standalone books, all within the same universe. I will try not to ruin it for you which of these characters start off as enemies and then channel that passion into a different kind of relationship, but just know that all of these books do have that trope in spades, and TikTok loves it. Another book that uses that trope really well is Legend by Marie Lu. That one's even got its own TikTok hashtag LegendTok, and this one is about two teenagers in a dystopian future where what was once the Western United States has now become the Republic, which is this secretive nation perpetually at war with its neighbours. And to get really specific into the enemies to lovers trope, TikTok as a whole, beyond just BookTok, is a huge fan of Hades and Persephone. I've heard them described on TikTok as the power couple of Greek mythology. So of course any Hades and Persephone retellings are very popular on BookTok. For example, A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, which is a sort of urban fantasy retelling. I haven't read it, but I've heard it gets pretty steamy. And then the final theme that I've noticed is that BookTok and TikTok as a whole is very big on talking about mental health, which is unsurprising because TikTok is really being led by Gen Z, who are very, very good about talking about their own mental health. And this applies to the books that they're recommending as well. So one that's really popular is a journal called Burn After Writing. So this is a concept created by Sharon Jones. It's a private journal that's designed to kind of counter the effects of how much social media we all consume. So it's a private journal filled with prompts designed to really make you question yourself and dig deep into who you are and what you want when you're not preoccupied with trying to create an image of yourself to post on social media, which is something that so many of us really need a reminder of. And then when you finished filling out the journal, as the title suggests, you can burn it or recycle it. Either way, it is very freeing. So if you found this interesting and want to keep diving into the various different bookish subcultures online, we have a whole video about BookTube and the trends that have come and gone through the years. So do click through and watch that next. And let us know in the comments below, are you on BookTok? Do you watch a lot of BookTok? And what are the books that BookTok has actually inspired you to buy yourselves? See you next time.